Hello. Looks like Thursdays seem to be the days that this is working out. So, sitting down here and gonna start writing again. See if I can finish this up today. Hopefully, I can. If not, we'll give it one more shot and then we'll start doing the second pass on it. All right. So, last time left off after Adam had gone through his whole family dinner and kind of spending time with them. And so now the three remaining portions are that before bed, his dad's busy with work and his mom is trying to get the baby down. And Adam tries to approach his father. He initially avoids his dad and gets a curt response. So he's kind of trying to talk to him, but not really pushing himself in. And he leaves still confused and unfulfilled. He has a moment of realizing that this is important and he needs to really get the help to understand what's going on and to have peace. So he reapproaches his dad more forcefully, and his dad, although frustrated at first, stops and has a connective and caring moment. They'll then talk about the zombies and Adam's fear of zombie disease or the zombie disease spreading in the family. His dad will realize that he's been sending the wrong messages to his children and making mistakes in his approach with his family. So he corrects it, comes to an understanding with his child, and sends his son to bed. And then Adam, in a moment of transcendence and happiness, will spy his father making a phone call to his relative to work on repairing the relationship to cure the zombification and fight against the puff disease. This is what we have left. First thing, up at the top, I had already called out that it was his uncle, Uncle Solomon, that was kind of a core player in this, so I'm gonna have that be who Adam's dad talks to. So I will do Uncle Solomon, just so I remember that that's the name that I'm using there. And let's jump straight in. Okay, let me look back at this last paragraph too, so I can make sure I'm coming in where I want to. So by the time they sat down to eat, Adam was feeling connected to his family again. Mother was smiling and Dad was asking everyone about their day. Adam brought up Sadhu catching 5 crawdads in one go. And I'm going to correct that. I hate having numbers that are not typed out, but I accidentally put them in sometime. Catching 5 crawdads in one go, but didn't say anything about the zombies. As Dad continued asking around the table and everyone got sillier and sillier with their responses, Adam felt a darkness closing in. He kept retreating into his headspace and a pain was forming in his chest as his mind kept getting stuck on a loop of the headless Jerome. Okay, so picking up here, I'm going to jump a little bit ahead in time. So he's been getting into his headspace. They've been having dinner. Got stuck in that. I'm just trying to figure out how I want to approach it or if I need something in between. Almost feeling like it needs to be a new chapter, but it's a continuation of the same short story, so I probably need that something. I was just going to jump straight to him. Like, he threw his floss in the trash. He was already brushed and ready for bed, but he had one more thing to talk to his dad about. I think I'll just actually continue on from where it was rather than jumping ahead. This feels like one of those places where I need that little bit clearer transition. So after dinner came the traditional or the nightly scripture and prayer, and then getting ready for bed. Gerald threw his now used floss in the trash and was just about to head upstairs as he passed by his father. his father's office. His dad was busy getting his side projects finished up before he could go to sleep for the night. I want to bring in his mom putting the baby down, but I'm going to do that in a second. I keep saying Gerald. I apologize. It is Adam in this story. I have another story, Gerald's Quest, and for some reason I'm connecting to that character right now and channeling that name. Adam threw his now used floss in the trash and was just about to head upstairs as he passed by his father's office. His dad was busy getting his side projects finished up before he could go to sleep for the night. Gerald paused for a moment at the door. His heart began beating faster. Let me do this. Gerald paused for a moment at the door. He felt an impulse to talk to his dad, but the thought of disturbing him made Gerald Adams. I'm getting a whole bunch of Geralds in here. Okay, so it is later in the evening right now. It's almost 9 o'clock. And so when I get more tired, my brain has this habit of fixating on certain things. Doesn't even matter what it is, just I'll start fixating on things. And so it can become more difficult to write, and this is another reason why I have to come through and do additional writing passes on things, is to catch those moments. In previous videos, you saw me get caught on specific words that just kind of wouldn't let go until I finished the writing session, and then suddenly my brain went, oh, yeah, I can release now, and by the way, here's all this stuff that you got wrong. I'm doing that again. Hopefully I'll continue to catch myself, and if this happens to you, don't worry about it. This is why we have follow-up drafts on stuff. It doesn't have to be good or perfect the first time. It's just about getting it down. All right, so he felt the impulse to talk to his dad, but the thought of disturbing him made Adam's heart beat faster. He also couldn't quite get his legs to work enough to move him towards his bed. It wants to make that one word. So I can leave it like that, but I may want to change language later, but I'm going to keep moving on. He stood and let the stood still, pondering on everything that had been running faster and wilder through his mind all evening. Until it hit a point where he had to do something. Dad? Said Adam. What's up, son? Yeah, if I can type. Responded his father. Is Uncle... Ah. Wow, I'm really having trouble typing. Solomon a zombie? If I've ever met one, said his father, or said his dad. And I'm also going to look for more clarity and decide whether or not I want to give a name. And whether I want these to all be the same. Do I said dad or responded his father? Once again, this is one of those things that I will check as I go through the rewrite and look for more uniformity later. So come back to this. So if I've ever met one, said his dad, not looking away from his screen. After another moment, Adam continued toward the staircase. When he put his right foot on the first step, the sound of... And I know I had a name... Benny. So, when he put his right foot on the first step, the sound of Benny crying and his mother calmly cooing at Benny from somewhere above stopped him. Adam stood. Adam needed to think. I'm not so happy with that. All right, so that kind of snaps him out of that reveries in where he's just been lost in his headspace. He got an answer from his dad that had to be good enough, so he's done. He's going to move on, go upstairs, but then he gets to the stairs, and upstairs is the baby crying, his mom calming the baby. You know, his other sister's probably already up there too, and there's no answers up there. And so he needs to reach a point of going, no, my answer's down here. I need to, this is important. So now it's just, how do I do that in a beautiful literary way? Or at least get it out right now and try and beautify it later. Okay, so he stops for that. Adam nearly began crying himself. He needed comfort, but not the kind Benny was getting. He needed to understand. And the thoughts... He needed to understand, but the thoughts were too big for him to handle right now. I'll just do too big for him to handle. Adam sat down and started, and began counting and breathing again. Began counting and breathing. And I apologize, I've been coming down with a cold, so I'll try not to sniff into the microphone too much. He would have to face his dad. Really face his dad. If anything was going to change or improve. He did one more run through the breathing, and with a tight chest and a stomach that seemed, and a stomach that felt like rolling waves. He walked back to his dad's office. "Dad," said Adam. So he's just kind of repeating himself again. "What now, son?" Are we gonna become... I'm gonna have a little less slang right now. Are we going to become zombies too now? "Hope not," said his father. "Otherwise, who'll be there to stop the horde?" "Otherwise, no one else will be there to stop the horde." "But I don't want to be a zombie," said Adam. "It would be horrible." "I don't want Mom." I'm trying to think if I gave his other sister a name yet. So let me double check. I know that the youngest one got a name. But let's see. Yep, Jennifer. Okay. I don't want Mom, Jennifer, or Benny to get their heads eaten. So he needs some kind of way of, or language that's going to shock his dad enough to get him to go, "Oh, my child's not just playing." Like, what? Or for, yeah, heads eaten. We'll go with that for now. Okay. I'm going to pause for just 1 second to go blow my nose. Alright, my apologies, just part of the fun of working while sick. Okay. So, "But I don't want to be a zombie," said Adam. "It would be horrible. I don't want Mom, Jennifer, or Benny to get their heads eaten." if it is anything like what happened to Jerome, and maybe that's what's triggering the Gerald for me. What happened to Jerome, it will be awful. Why couldn't anyone have stopped Uncle Solomon from catching it? Isn't there anything we can do to help? Adam's father looked up for the first time during their exchange. He looked long and deep into Adam's eyes, which were now filling with tears, which were now getting trying to find a nice way or a good way to say it. Basically, when you're not fully crying yet, but you get that like rim of liquid just on that lower lid. Which were okay, so he looked long and deep into Adam's eyes, which were starting to fill. Adam blinked under his father's gaze and wiped the tears away before they could drip. Hold on now, said Adam's father. Isn't going the way I thought the conversation was going to go, or was playing out. I think you need to explain things a little more clearly to me. Sorry for bothering your work, said Adam, wiping his eyes again. No need for that, said his father. This is probably more important. Come in and sit. Adam did as he was told. Sat in the little chair in the corner. Now what's this about zombies? Son? Okay. I did want to have his dad a little bit disgruntled. Alright. What now, son? Frustration sneaking into his voice. So let me go through this again. Alright, so Dad, said Adam. What now, son? Frustration sneaking into his voice. Are we going to become zombies too? Or two now? Actually, I'll just cut it short. Make it curt. What, son? Are we going to become zombies too now? Hope not, said his father. Otherwise no one else will be there to stop the horde. Now get to bed. I got work to do. Or to get done. Need a better way to put this. I have a lot of projects still due tonight. I'm just going to do said Adam. Okay. So, Dad, said Adam. What, son? Frustration sneaking into his voice. Responded his father. Frustration sneaking into his voice. Are we going to become zombies too now? I hope not, said his father. Otherwise no one else will be there to stop the horde. Now get to bed. I have a lot of projects still due tonight. But I don't want to be a zombie, said Adam. It would be horrible. I don't want Mom, Jennifer, or Benny to get their heads eaten. If it is anything, or if it's anything like what happened to Jerome, it will be awful. Why couldn't anyone have stopped Uncle Solomon from catching it? Isn't there anything we can do to help? Adam's father looked up for the first time during their exchange. He looked long and deep into Adam's eyes. Which were starting to fill. I'm getting looked. I got a lot of repetitious stuff that I'll have to get in the next pass. Adam blinked under his father's gaze and wiped the tears away before they could drip. Hold on now, said Adam's father. This isn't going the way I thought the conversation was playing out. I think you need to explain things a little more clearly to me. Sorry for bothering your work, said Adam, wiping his eyes again. No need for that, said his father. This is probably more important. Come in and sit. Adam did as he was told and sat in the little chair in the corner. Now, what's this about zombies, son? Okay, so now they can go and have their connective and caring moment talking about zombies. Okay. Okay, you said Uncle Solomon was a zombie. Said Adam. I did, said Adam's father. But it wasn't meant to be taken literally. But zombies are real, said Adam. If Uncle Solomon is not a zombie, then why would... I'm trying to think of how to explain this. Let's look back at how I had initially introduced this. He could see his family in the conflict. That would explain things since the Easter egg hunt. The puff must be getting them too. Why can't I see any of my cousins anymore? Is it my fault? Did I do something wrong again? So, I see this in my kids, I see this in my students, and I myself have done this many times. When something goes wrong, we generally tend to blame ourselves, or we have a specific target that we blame for things. And it's not always either one of those. But especially for little kids, when I was a little kid, this was pretty common for me. Whenever something would start going bad, I'd go, ooh, well, if it's not this, then maybe it is my fault. Okay, so did I do something wrong again? No, son. You are doing just fine. This is one of those places where I'm not sure if I want to have Adam go through and repeat everything that happened with the zombie insects, or if I want that summarized so I can focus the story on the other parts to keep the flow going. For right now, I'm going to play it by ear, and when I do the second pass, if I find that that's not working for me and I do need more detail or less detail, then I can come back and change that. So, no, son, you were doing just fine. If anyone in this family is to blame, it would be me. I disagree with a lot of the things your uncle and a few of the other family members have been saying and promoting. Ooh, that was bad right here. Blame, comma, it would be me. And it's not capital U. Yeah, there we go. In fact, we are at such odds that it has become painful to be around each other. I don't want you kids to get caught in the middle of the fight. See, and this is where the kids smart. See, Dad? That's what I mean. Is it spreading to their or is whatever Uncle Solomon has spreading to Bob, Jeff, and Sally, and Nancy? Are you worried I'll catch it from them? In a way, son. Yes. Said his father. Looking a little ashamed. Sometimes a wrong idea or belief can do more damage than a physical ailment. I guess I was... Oh, I've got a fruit fly going after me. Was trying to protect you. But Dad... said Adam. You always told us that we should love people, even if they believe different than us. That we have been taught how to love each other and help each other, and we know good from bad. Why is this different? Let's see. Adam's father's brow bunched up tight as he looked at the floor for a moment. Before responding. You know what, son? You are absolutely right. I'm being a hypocrite. And I've been sending you the wrong message. We should love people, and I need to trust your trust. How do I put this? I don't need to keep you from people with different ideas. As long as we can still communicate and work through things. Okay, so for my kids, I've got 3 things that I always talk to them about remembering. And I established this really early with my kids because they felt really important. And the first thing I always tell my kids to remember is that I love them. Like, I want them to know that first and foremost. Like, even when things get really bad, they get hectic, there's yelling, there's screaming, there's problems, they need to know that even when I get upset at something they do, that it's not them, that I still love them. The second thing I always need my kids to remember is that they are good kids. Like, they're going to screw up, they're going to make mistakes. That doesn't make them bad. It's not you're a bad person. It's you made a mistake, but you're a good kid, and I love you very much. And then the third thing is that they can talk with me about anything. Like, nothing's off the table. Communication's open. And so it's that kind of messaging that I'm picturing this father has been sharing. Like, hey, we can talk about these things. And the problem is he got so caught up with worry and fear about some idea that spread, whether it's religious or political or whatever else, something that he sees as harmful and damaging. And he's so scared of his child or children catching that idea and believing that more than working through things with him. That's part of why he shut off. It's like, wow, I'm seeing how these people are freaking out and going along with whatever this thing is that I disagree with, rather than it being communication, rather than being something that they can discuss and come to an understanding about. Because even when there are people that do have different belief systems than us, that do have different directions, when we actually communicate, we find that we have more in common than we have not. And so it's trying to find those things that do matter, that are in common, and then building from there. And sometimes there are ideas that are just flat out harmful or damaging or wrong. And in some cases, it comes from selfishness. In other cases, it's just because people don't understand that way. They're not seeing the full extent of what these things can lead to or the problems they can lead to. Or, sometimes we just get locked into things and blinded. But that's where, if we have open communication, we can work through that stuff. We can figure it out. We can have loving places for people to come to terms with, problems that they're having, or, past traumas in their lives that are leading them to be more angry and selfish, or whatever that is. But it comes back to communication and love. So it's that same idea here, that he's trying to get that idea back. I was like, ooh, wow, I screwed up. I'm sending the wrong message here with the way I've been handling this. You're right, son. I do love you. You're a good kid, and we need to be able to talk about this. I love my brother or brother-in-law. I haven't established the uncle, whether that's his brother, his wife's brother, or if this is a great uncle. So his uncle or his wife's uncle. So it's an older individual. Yet again, this story is not about a specific political ideology or a specific religious ideology or a specific anything. It's about the difference. It's about that other that we're talking about here. So he's needing to correct that right now. So I don't need to keep you from people with different ideas as long as we still communicate and work through things. And I'm going to bring that up. I'll throw that in here just because it's nice. I'm sorry. I've screwed up. And I was wrong. And then his son, in usual child fashion, it's okay, Dad. Love you. Love you too. said his father. Remember the 3 things you must never forget? Yes, Dad. Actually, I want to throw it in here because I like sharing all these wonderful things, but I will have to save that for another story. All right. Because it'll start sidetracking, and then once more I lose the flow. If later on I go through this and I go, ooh, I got a spot here, I can throw that in. It's sweet, it's touching, we'll do that. Then I'll add it in. But other than that, I'll just leave this as it is. So, love you too, said his father. Now get to bed. Okay. There we go. All right, on to the final section. I'm going to pause this one more time, and then I'll be right back to hopefully finish this out, and that way next time we can start doing a second pass. Okay, it's going again. All right, so the final little section. And I began walking back toward the stairs. But stopped when he heard his dad say something. Quietly walked that would have been too fast. Like, he just immediately leaves and then his dad's already on the phone. Okay, Adam began walking back toward the stairs, but stopped at the bottom when he heard the soft lullaby from his mother floating down. If he went up now, oh, I forgot something else. I think I'm gonna chat. I was just realizing I didn't jump back to him explaining the zombies and the zombie bugs and all that stuff, with the zombies being real. So now I'm debating whether I still put in something about that, or whether if I do, it will slow the pacing unless I can find a quick way to kind of sneak it in. And maybe that's what'll set up the little humorous bit at the end. Okay, I'm going to stop it for a second right here. I'm going to throw in a little bit. I don't know. I'm going to move on, and then I'll see if I need... I'm going to just make a note right here. May need to add something about Adam telling his dad about the zombie bugs. Okay, so Adam began walking toward the stairs, but stopped at the bottom when he heard the soft lullaby from his mother floating down. If he went up now, he would wake up the baby, and he didn't want to get in trouble for that. He would have to wait a few moments until he was sure he could sneak into the room without causing a disturbance. I'm adding extra words. "Hello, Solomon," came his father's voice. Adam snuck back. Oh, actually, I'm going to just give like a little one-sided shadow argument for right now. "Hello, Solomon," came his father's voice. "I know it has been a bit, it's been a bit. But I needed to call and apologize." No. It was every bit as much me. I'm sorry. Adam couldn't hear what was being said on the other side. Well, I don't want to do that either. This is a big part of writing, just making decisions and bouncing back and forth with things. Adam stood up. Wait, stop at the bottom. Adam snuck back to the doorway and peeked around the corner. Well, I don't want to get into that again with you. I just want to let you know that I love you, that I hope we get to see each other again soon. Maybe for the upcoming reunion, if it is still on. Or else we can catch a game one of these Saturdays. Okay. It would be better to talk through anything deeper than that in person anyway. I hope you are doing well. I hope things have been going well for you. Oh, okay. Now I think I figured out how I want to do this. I'm going to remove that section here that I was debating about, with adding that thing about zombies. This will be the bit at the end. Okay. Adam began to sneak or to pull away Adam pulled away from the door from the doorway and stopped. Adam, came his father's voice. I do need you to explain what you meant by zombies are real. But it is past your bedtime. So please stop sneaking around and we can talk in the morning. Good night. Night, Dad. Said Adam. His father went back to talking with Uncle Solomon on the phone. And Adam smiling, tiptoed upstairs to dream about crawfish and zombie bugs. Alright, so not out and out humor, but I still think it may need more punch, but it's almost more sentimental at this point. And I'm kind of happy with that. So I'm going to do just a quick read through now of where it's at in its current state. And then next time when I come back, we'll start going through a second draft where we can, or where I'm saying we and the royal we, me, myself, and I, where I can go through and start doing cleanup, polishing language, looking at pacing, seeing if there's things that I need to change. And now I've got the content. I've got the thing built, and now I'll be able to work with it. But I'm going to read through this, and then I'll end for the night. All right. The Puff. And still a placeholder title. I'm not sure if this is exactly what I want, but it seems to be good for now. So, The Puff. Jerome's headless corpse rose and began to pursue Esther and Fred. Adam watched in horror as his two friends climbed as fast as they could to get away. Tina, Greg, and Shanna moved towards Jerome, trying to stop him. They were more aggressive than Adam had ever seen them. Adam's heart ached for them. Only a week ago they were happy and living in peace and harmony. Then the Puff came. Seemingly innocuous, those closest to it began to change. Within a few days... I've got a tickly nose, so I'm going to blow my nose one last time, and then I'll start the reading over again. 1 second. Alright, good thing I paused it. I had some explosive sneezing afterwards. Okay, so I'm going to start the story again. I apologize. Jerome's headless corpse rose and began to pursue Esther and Fred. Adam watched in horror as his two friends climbed as fast as they could to get away. Tina, Greg, and Shanna moved towards Jerome, trying to stop him. They were more aggressive than Adam had ever seen them. Adam's heart ached for them. Only a week ago they were happy and living in peace and harmony. Then the Puff came. Seemingly innocuous, those closest to it began to change. Within a few days, Jonathan was gone, but his body kept moving as if controlled by a remote. Where he was kind, peaceful, and lived only to make music before, he turned into a creature of nightmares, walking with a will that was not his own and becoming a host for strange white growths. He became aggressive in his attacks. The scariest part wasn't even the physical violence, but that even without actual contact, the Puff spread. Everyone in contact began to change. Some became puppeted monsters becoming puppeted monsters themselves, and others acting in violence to protect and retreat. Now it seemed that all of his little friends would finally fall prey to this fungal form of zombification. Adam couldn't take it anymore. He was feeling so sad and sorry for the loss of his friends that he had to sit up and back away from the anthill. Still watching the ants try to fend off what was left of Jerome the cicada's body, he was watching the now familiar puff escape the fungus on the corpse and land on their carapaces. Esther, Fred, and many others, recognizing the danger, were busy pulling debris to block the entrances to the anthill, leaving the most heroic outside to face their doom. He could see his family in the conflict. That would explain things since the Easter egg hunt. I'm going to make a correction right here because there might be confusion. I'm talking about Esther, Fred, and the others. And when I say he could see, I need to clarify that it's Adam. So Adam could see his family in the conflict. That would explain things since the Easter egg hunt. The puff must be getting them too. Dad said that Uncle Solomon was a mindless and uncaring oaf. Maybe he had become a zombie. Adam's mind spiraled. He couldn't see his cousins anymore, and everyone was on edge. Every time the phone rang lately, it was treated like air raid sirens were sounding. He looked at the anthill one more time. The conflict was too much. Adam stood up, walked from the back fence line, and sat down on a chair by the fire pit. He practiced his breathing that he had been learning by watching his parents after their stressful interactions lately, and then he looked around. His brow was dripping salt and his shirt was soaked. He would love to go to the pool, but nobody could drive him today. Instead, he watched as Patrick and Michelle, two of the chipmunks that had moved into his backyard last fall, ran around after each other along the fences and over the garden beds. He could see the hole where Chuck, one of the neighborhood rabbits, had dug before spying Adam and running back over to Mrs. Moncito's more open backyard. "Mom, can I come in to play now?" said Adam at the back door. "No," came his mother's voice. "Get a drink from the hose and go find some friends to play with if you're bored." Adam made a face and said, "Fine," before shutting the door and stomping off. He opened the side gate and walked out to the sidewalk and down to the stream by the neighborhood garden. On his way, he scared Lydia, Jeff, and the new fawn that he hadn't named yet. "You're not supposed to eat from the garden," called Adam. "Old Man Sumner will get angry again if you do." Adam looked up because of the movement and noise as a medium-sized something hit the stream, sending up a splash. "Why are you talking to deer?" called Sadhu through splutters. "Why did you fall in the water?" asked Adam, running up to the bank. "Trying to grab a crawdad, and your talking made me lose balance." "You get any yet?" "Look in the bucket," said Sadhu, a jagged grin spreading wide as he stepped out of the water. There were 5 inside. Adam's best record was 3 in one go, and that was using hot dog bits as bait. Sadhu went back to fishing, and Adam took a stick to play with the crawdads. They looked an awful lot like some of the bugs he had been playing with earlier, and his mind went back to his insect friends. "I wonder if these will get taken over by the puff too," said Adam. "The what?" asked Sadhu. "The puff," repeated Adam. "The thing that's been turning all the cicadas and ants in my backyard into zombies." "You got zombies?" said Sadhu, moving over to sit by Adam. "So cool. How did you get zombies?" "It's not cool," said Adam. He was horrified at the thought. Sadhu just didn't know. He hadn't seen them. It was horrible and somehow inevitable. It just spread and didn't care about who it affected. Adam did his best to explain the zombie situation to Sadhu, expecting a change. All that happened was that Sadhu got more and more excited, and Adam knew that for the next few weeks they would end up pretending to be zombies. They continued to talk and play until Adam saw his father's car go by on the main road. By the time he got to the house, his father was already shutting the garage door, and Adam had to run around back to get inside. By the time he got in, dinner was supposed to be on the table, and everyone should have been gathering to eat. Instead, there was a heavy silence that had plagued their home recently. There's there, and there. Their home recently. Jennifer was keeping her head down as she continued a writing project she had been assigned over the summer. Mother was trying to calm down little Benny as he had been fighting off a rash recently. Dad quickly took off his coat and set to work making something for the family to eat. Adam felt awkward. He quietly took his shoes off at the door so that he wouldn't upset anyone, and was attempting to sneak by and up to his room when his dad walked up behind him and began to shadow every movement that Adam made. Adam turned, and father remained behind him. He started to speak, but his dad blurted out at the same time, cutting him off. He raised an arm, and his dad's shadow on the wall raised an arm. Adam started to grin, even though he was trying very hard not to. He walked straight up to a wall, turned quickly, and said, "Dad!" "What?" responded Adam's father, mimicking his tone. "What?" responded Adam's father, mimicking his tone. I had to get the tone right. "Stop being so grumpy and help me cook." "But I don't want to," said Adam, semi-flopping. Too bad, said Father, fully flopping with his tie askew. I don't want to adult anymore. You got to cook the dinner. Dad, repeated Adam, stop being a kid. Don't want to. I'm going to be a kid from now on, and you have to go work and take care of everything. Adam leaned against the wall and started to laugh, partially out of nervous embarrassment as his dad began to throw a full-size tantrum just the way he and his sister used to. As his father continued, laughter began rising from the family room, which felt wonderful until Benny began crying again. Dad, knowing not to press his luck, went back to the kitchen holding Adam's hand, and they set about getting frozen meatballs in the oven and a pot of water boiling on the stove for the noodles. By the time they sat down to eat, Adam was feeling connected to his family again. Mother was smiling, and Dad was asking everyone about their day. Adam brought up Sadhu catching 5 crawdads in one go, but didn't say anything about the zombies. As Dad continued, shouldn't be an either, asking around the table, and everyone got sillier, or as Dad continued asking around the table, and everyone got sillier and sillier with their responses, Adam felt a darkness closing in. He kept retreating into his headspace, and a pain was forming in his chest as his mind kept getting stuck on a loop of the headless Jerome. After dinner came the nightly scripture and prayer, and then getting ready for bed. Adam threw his now-used floss in the trash and was just about to head upstairs as he passed by his father's office. His dad was busy getting his side projects finished up before he could go to sleep for the night. Adam paused for a moment at the door. He felt an impulse to talk to his dad, but the thought of disturbing him made Adam's heart beat faster. He also couldn't quite get his legs to work enough to move him toward his bed. I grew up using towards and adding S's on the ends of things, and after going through a few proofreaders, I discovered that me putting the S's on the end of a lot of these words is okay and appropriate if I'm in Europe. But here in the States, apparently that's not used, so I've had to start trying to correct that on my own. Anyway, enough to get him toward his bed. He stood still, pondering on everything that had been running faster and wilder through his mind all evening, until it hit a point where he had to do something. Dad, said Adam. What's up, son? Responded his father. Is Uncle Solomon a zombie? If I've ever met one, said his dad, not looking away from his screen. After another moment, Adam continued toward the staircase. And I got a lot of things I do got to clean up. When he put his right foot on the first step, the sound of Benny crying and his mother calmly cooing at Benny from somewhere above stopped him. Adam nearly began crying himself. He needed comfort, but not the kind Benny was getting. He needed to understand, but the thoughts were too big for him to handle. Adam sat down and began counting and breathing. He would have to face his dad, really face his dad, if anything was going to change or improve. He did one more run through the breathing, and with a tight chest and stomach that felt like rolling waves, he walked back to his dad's office. Dad, said Adam. What, son? Responded his father, frustration sneaking into his voice. Are we going to become zombies too now? Hope not, said his father. Otherwise no one else will be there to stop the horde. Now get to bed. I have a lot of projects still due tonight. But I don't want to be a zombie, said Adam. It would be horrible. I don't want Mom, Jennifer, or Benny to get their heads eaten. If it's anything like what happened to Jerome, it will be awful. Why couldn't anyone have stopped Uncle Solomon from catching it? Isn't there anything we can do to help? Adam's father looked up for the first time during their exchange. He looked long and deep into Adam's eyes, which were starting to fill. Adam blinked under his father's gaze and wiped the tears away before they could drip. Hold on now, said Adam's father. This isn't going the way I thought the conversation was playing out. I think you need to explain things a little more clearly to me. Sorry for bothering your work, said Adam, wiping his eyes again. No need for that, said his father. This is probably more important. Come in and sit. Adam did as he was told and sat in the little chair in the corner. Sorry, I got to pause for just a second again. Making liberal use of that pause button this session. Adam did as he was told and sat in the little chair in the corner. Now, what's this about zombies, son? You said Uncle Solomon was a zombie, said Adam. I did, said Adam's father, but it wasn't meant to be taken literally. But zombies are real, said Adam. If Uncle Solomon is not a zombie, then why can't I see any of my cousins anymore? Is it my fault? Did I do something wrong again? No, son. You are... I'm not supposed to do that, but I do. No, son, you're doing just fine. If anyone in this family is to blame, it would be me. I disagree with a lot of the things your uncle and a few of the other family members have been saying and promoting. In fact, we are at such odds that it's become painful to be around each other, and I don't want you kids to get caught up in the middle of the fight. See, Dad, that's what I mean, is whatever Uncle Solomon is whatever Uncle Solomon has caught spreading to Bob, Jeff, and Nancy? Are you worried I'll catch it from them? In a way, son, yes, said his father, looking a little ashamed. Sometimes a wrong idea or belief can do more damage than a physical ailment. I guess I was trying to protect you. But Dad, said Adam, you always told us that we should love people even if they believe different than us, that we have been taught how to love each other and help each other, and we know good from bad. Why is this different? Adam's father's brow bunched up tight as he looked at the floor for a moment before responding. You know what, son? You are absolutely right. I'm being a hypocrite, and I've been sending you the wrong message. We should love people, and I don't need to keep you from people with different ideas as long as we can still communicate and work through things. I'm sorry. I've screwed up, and I was wrong. It's okay, Dad. I love you. I love you too, said his father. Now get to bed. Adam began walking back toward the stairs, but stopped at the bottom when he heard the soft lullaby from his mother floating down. If he went up now, he would wake up the baby, and he didn't want to get in trouble for that. He would have to wait a few moments until he was sure he could sneak into the room without causing a disturbance. Hello, Solomon? Came his father's voice. I know it's been a bit, but I need to call and apologize. No, it was every bit as much me. I'm sorry. Adam snuck back to the doorway and peeked around the corner. Well, I don't want to get into that again with you. I just want to let you know that I love you and that I hope we get to see each other again soon, maybe for the upcoming reunion if it is still on, or else we can catch a game one of these Saturdays. It would be better to talk through anything deeper than that in person anyway. I hope things have been going well for you. Adam pulled away from the doorway and stopped. Adam, came his father's voice, I do need you to explain what you meant by zombies are real. By zombies are real. But it is past your bedtime, so please stop sneaking around and we can talk in the morning. Good night. Night, Dad, said Adam. His father went back to talking with Uncle Solomon on the phone, and Adam, smiling, tiptoed upstairs to dream about crawfish and zombie bugs. All right. So there are a lot of areas that I do want to work on, places that it's feeling a little rough. Down here, it gets a little preachy. A lot of it is close to kind of the conversations I would have with my kids, but yeah, definitely needs work. But this is a good first pass. Once more, I hope you're enjoying this, and this is somewhat informative for you as you're actually seeing the writing process from start to finish. But we'll continue on in the next video and do the second pass then. Take care and have a great evening. Bye.